This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media, doing the interview series in support of the Mining Journal Select Conference in London, July 1st and 2nd. Today, we're interviewing Paul Dunmore from Quatro Metales. Paul, thank you for your efforts on behalf of shareholders, and thank you, too, for your support of the Mining Journal Select Conference.
Thanks, Rick, and thanks for having us.
Let's begin with a discussion of the people. It all begins with people. Tell me something about the people briefly involved in Quatro Metales, their experience relevant to the task at hand, and their credibility, why we should care about the answers to the rest of the questions.
That's a really good question. So myself and the senior operations director were actually investors in another operation that we run and that we turned into a producing mine a number of years ago. So you could say that we have a relative pedigree now in exploratory projects and more recently actual production. So our team over in Ecuador are highly skilled individuals that come from various larger operations and projects in the area. They're all very well educated in the mining arena, as there are a number of excellent universities in the country that cater to the demand for a developed workforce in the industry. So Zaruma itself has an abundance of skilled workers with practical zonal knowledge and are usually generational miners. So usually their fathers and grandfathers were miners too, which is quite critical in our area, as they are the guys that have the local experience and knowledge on the ground and directly on the coalface, if you like, in order to ensure that hand in hand with a more theoretical testing side, such as the geology side, they make a fantastic overall team. That's all obviously pulling in the same direction. So we're obviously we're also a huge supporter of women in mining. And have a number of women in the team, including on the production side, that ensure the teams are well balanced and professional in their approach. And they bring us, a new dynamic, you could say, that is described as lacking in those with a more traditional workforces.
Can you, since we've begun the discussion of Zaruma, tell us something about your activities? What is Zaruma? Why is it important in Ecuador? What you're trying to accomplish there?
Okay, so yeah, we're very lucky in El Oro as we sit well into the South American plate, which, as you probably mentioned before, has an extremely well documented and tested polymetallic veins running throughout most of the region. So the entire mining district over there sits on a caldera with porphyry systems leading up to our mesothermal and epithermal veins that contain an abundance of copper, along with an excellent degree of both free and encapsulated gold, and a high degree of silver as well as, of course, a number of rare earth minerals. So mining in Zaruma has been going on for centuries. So without a doubt, the mineralization of this region of El Oro has really stood the test of time. And as for the terrain, we are also very lucky to have superb logistics and transport links. As again, you probably mentioned before, the infrastructure has already been developed over the years due to a lower level mining and of course other commercial industries. So we're surrounded by commercial mines and of course benefit from the network of mining supply chains and expertise that's in the immediate area. It's also a stunningly beautiful place to spend some time in.
Specifically, what are you trying to accomplish? What is the nature of the opportunity in front of us in the next 12 to 18 months? Are we talking about exploration activities, development activities, pre-production activities, production? Give our audience a taste of the task at hand.
Okay. So obviously it's a hugely expensive job, but it's our job to make what's in the ground hugely profitable. So bringing us to today, as mentioned, we've spent the last 7 years developing the area and working from various drill reports up to 2018. We obtained a feasibility study based on half of our licensed area that expressed that we had around 100,000 ounces of gold equivalent throughout our immediate area. So since then, we've nearly doubled the area and obtained another PFS on our future target, which now estimates our gold equivalent at 250 troy ounces. That's gold, silver, and copper equivalent, not including other rare earth minerals that we have commercial grades and quantities of. So the beauty of our projects as a smaller underground network of mines with polymetallic veins is that our copper and silver reserves ensure that we can keep our gold cut-off relatively low at well under 0.5 grams per tonne. So in order for us to target our latest ore body, which is set fairly deep at 660 metres, with a superficial distance of around 1.4 kilometers, we have looked at a budget of between 4 to 6 million USD. Now that will bring us into full production of our pre-tested mesothermal type vein, which has shown a copper grade of around 2%, and a gold average of nearly double the average of our current pre-production veins at around 12 grams per ton. So, we have access to around 500,000 of that at hand, and will sustain us through to 2025. However, we are currently in the process of updating the ventilation systems, along with automating our ore recovery systems, and expect to be in full production by that point at the latest. And as with most projects, the capex is fairly large at the start. So there will likely be an imbalance over the first 3 to 4 quarters before we catch up at the 5th to 6th quarter stage. But generally, we're forecasted with experience from, previously smaller but similar projects. So we don't expect any surprises that we haven't encountered or analyzed before.
So to summarize that, you have a $4 to $6 million need, and the goal of the 4 to 6 million dollars is in fact to establish self-sustaining production. Is that an accurate summary?
It is indeed, yes.
And then let's benchmark goals in the 12 to 18 month time frame. What would you see in terms of operational goals, production, cash flow, however you'd like to address it?
Okay,
What can
so
investors expect?
yeah, okay. So we're currently advancing 3 separate projects at the moment, and they're all at different stages of development. So with Pacha Vista, as explained, is ready to enter pre-production, and we're currently running pilot tests over the concession in order to map and identify the new targets and document and bring on the efficiency as an addition to our already identified target production areas. So we also have Cerro Aguilar, which is an iron gold exploratory project in Guayazinga, which is fairly close to Zaruma also, but much higher in altitude at 3,500 meters. And there we are currently showing between 0.5 to 0.8 grams per ton of gold at the surface from trench and exploratory tunnel testing. So the fantastic thing about this project is that it's surrounded by around 8,000 hectares of free concession. So we feel that if we can prove our drill and exploration targets in Guayazinga, and we know that there is an extensive vein system below us to enable the gold to be deposited up this high, that we could very likely be sitting in the center of a potential tier 2 project or even a tier 1 project. Now, a little bit further to the south, we have also entered a JV with the owners of Valador to potentially undertake an alluvial project that flows from the Zaruma region down into northern Peru, which is around 1,700 hectares of River Placer, that has the potential from our geo-testing to produce around 10,000 troy ounces of gold per year at around 84%. Now, the contexture of this project in terms of stakeholder benefit is that we are developing it to ensure that it's one of the first decarbonised processing systems which could go hand in hand with cleaning the river, as well as being a relatively carbon neutral gold production facility. So we're delighted to be in Ecuador and delighted that the opportunities exist to ensure that the company grows and develops through the next 5, 10 to 15 years.
Finally, to the extent that attendees at the Mining Journal Select Conference are interested in learning more about Quatro Metales even before the conference, who at the company do they contact and how do they reach that person?
So that'll be myself, Paul Dunmore. My email is pd@quatrometales.com. My telephone number is +44 7592 144 073.
Paul, thank you for your ongoing support of the Mining Journal Select Conference. I look forward to seeing you in London.
Thanks very much, Rick. Thanks for having us.